A judge in Wisconsin has been arrested by the FBI accused of obstructing an ICE arrest. The FBI arrested Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan at the courthouse. Officials say Dugan escorted a man and his lawyer out of her courtroom through the jury door last week after learning that immigration authorities were looking to arrest him. The man was taken into custody after agents chased him on foot. Joining us this morning is our 9 News legal expert, Whitney Traylor. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Sure. Good morning.
Interesting case. So is this unusual for a judge to be arrested under these circumstances?
Yes, I think it is unusual. As we were just saying, there really was no need for an arrest. Even if you're going to charge this person, you don't have to arrest them and do this perp walk and all this and post it. She wasn't a flight risk. She's not dangerous. There wasn't the threat of evidence being destroyed. So really, they could have just charged her and had her show up in court. Now, this wasn't the first time this has happened. In Trump's first term, there was a Massachusetts judge that also was charged with a similar situation. So, but overall, yes, this is very unusual for a state court judge to be arrested in her courtroom for this federal violation.
So some people are criticizing ICE for arresting people at the courthouse because it prevents due process. Do you agree?
Well, that's a double-edged sword. And yes, I do agree in the sense that if there's concern that you could be arrested by ICE by showing up to court, then yes, as a witness, you may not show up, and that's going to be problematic for other people's case. As a plaintiff, you may not want to show up because you're nervous about what this may do. Now, on the other hand, some folks are saying, well, ICE is doing its job. They know where the person's going to be. It's going to be a safer situation because they'll already have went through security, so they're not going to be armed. So there is that argument as well. But I think the state court judges are pretty resistant to really being an accomplice and assisting ICE on these federal arrests.
Do you think this is an attack on judicial independence or a sign that no one is above the law?
Let's see, is it an attack on judicial? That's a great question. I think there's an argument about both. I think the way in which this was done is really an attack on the independence of the judiciary. There's no question that right now there is a power grab by the executive branch to try and consolidate power within the branch. And this could be an intimidation factor to have a judge arrested like this. And really, I read the arrest affidavit, and some things just don't add up. And so obviously we just have those allegations. The judge hasn't put on a defense or even appeared yet to assert her defense. But they're arguing that she concealed this person, she assisted his getaway. As it stands, the facts have come out that she did have some conversation with this individual and his attorney, but they also went out in the public hallway. They were in the public elevator. There was actually an ICE agent who was undercover in the elevator with them. So the allegation that she did some kind of nefarious work to try and get this person out of the courtroom seems to not be the fact.
Because there were other opportunities. She didn't need to necessarily sneak him out the back door.
Exactly. And it ultimately ended up in the public hallway, in the public elevator with an ICE agent. So this sort of characterization that she took him back some back hallway and things like that is just not the case.
Do you anticipate more judges being arrested as part of the executive branch's power grab?
I hope not. You're definitely seeing threats being made by the executive branch in terms of calling for the impeachment of these state court judges who don't rule in favor of the Trump administration. There's just this pressure for them to rule a certain way, and that is a huge concern. I've said that many times here in these segments, is that if we don't have an independent judiciary, then we don't have anybody to arbitrate these disputes, which we're inevitably going to have. There is going to be a dispute. We are going to have somebody to decide those disputes, and we have to trust them. If we don't trust them, then really our government doesn't function because there's nobody to ultimately make that ultimate arbitration. So I think this is a major concern, and if we start to see these state court judges being arrested for these types of things, because here, yeah, there is an argument that the judge did the wrong thing, that she shouldn't have assisted in any way, shape, or form, but to have her arrested, to post it up on X, to do this perp walk, I think that is sending a message which is, as a legal analyst, concerning for me, for sure.
Really interesting case. All right, Whitney, as always, thanks for coming in.
All right, good to be here.